Good evening, everybody. My name is Ciarán, and today I chose the topic with Alan on the effects of dietary cholesterol. Is it linked with heart disease? So we'll move on right now. So a little overview. So the title of the article that I chose is Exploring the Factors that Affect Blood Cholesterol and Heart Disease Risk. Is dietary cholesterol as bad for you as history leads us to believe? This paper was done by Cantor et al. It was done in 2011. And I'm going to go through a little summary of the whole paper. So a little background into the paper. In the past 50 years, a lot of research has been done regarding cholesterol and dietary fat being linked to heart disease. However, in recent years, epidemiological studies have concluded that this is not the case. Furthermore to this research, clinical trials on the effects of long-term egg consumption report no negative impact on cardiovascular health and disease. The recent data has raised the question that other potential covariates such as saturated fat and carbohydrates may have a greater impact on coronary heart disease than dietary cholesterol has. Many Western countries currently do not have any dietary cholesterol intake recommendations. However, they do have recommendations for reducing the amount of saturated fats and trans fats, because they present an increased chance for cardiovascular disease. The Institute of Medicine in 2002 reported eliminating cholesterol in the diet would require significant changes in patterns of dietary intake, which may introduce undesirable effects and unknown health risks. So why is this an important issue? Well, in the food industry alone, this would be very topical in the sense that if there was concrete evidence that cholesterol was linked to cardiovascular disease or heart disease, etc., it could prove detrimental to sales of foods that would contain high amounts of dietary cholesterol, such as milk, eggs, and meat. The dairy and egg industry would cease to exist. They'll be hit really hard with low sales. Millions of revenue will be lost to these in all of the Western countries, not only to the companies that produce these, but also to the farmers selling their produce to these companies, and milk and egg farmers would lose their jobs. So just to go through the study objectives of this review, which it is. So the first study objective was to determine whether there is an association between dietary fat and cholesterol intake with heart disease, and also to determine whether consumption of egg, a food source which is regarded with a lot of high dietary cholesterol, is related to disease such as cardiovascular disease, stroke, or other heart diseases. So just going to go through a few of the results. I have three mentioned here on the slide. I'll go through them a little bit more here, and I'll talk through other ones. So Ezra et al. In 1996 conducted a prevalence follow-up study which looked at a total of 4,546 healthy men and women to see the relationship between dietary cholesterol consumption and coronary heart disease. They found no such relationship linking coronary heart disease deaths with dietary cholesterol intake, thus disproving the thought that dietary cholesterol is bad for you in terms of heart disease. In 2006, McNamara conducted a study to see if regular egg intake, which contains high amounts of dietary cholesterol, affected heart disease. He also found no association between coronary heart disease and egg consumption. In the same year, another study was done by Nakamura et al., also focused on egg consumption and whether it led to health risks. They also found no evidence to support that egg intake was related to the risk of coronary heart disease or stroke. In 2005, Katz et al. Conducted a study to assess the effects of daily consumption of 2 eggs for a 6-week period on cardiac risk. For the study, 50 healthy men and women were selected randomly and single-blindly. The control group ate oatmeal instead of eggs to compare the difference in serum and endothelial function. No adverse effects from the consumption of egg were seen in either serum or endothelial function. Then, in 2010, Neitsch et al. Did a similar study as Katz et al. Did and wanted to assess if consumption of eggs led to adverse effects on lipids or endothelial function. In this study, although using similar methods, they used only 40 adults, but these had hyperlipidemia, which basically means too many lipids or fats in the blood. In the study, they compared consumption of eggs with consumption of cholesterol-free egg substitute. So they used that control. However, they found no harmful effects of daily intake of 2 eggs were seen on either lipids. So you got the same result eating either or. In fact, some studies looked at the benefits of dietary cholesterol on reducing risk of heart disease. In 2001, Pascal et al. Found that large HDL particles are associated with increased reverse cholesterol transport, and thus the very formation of these particles by consumption of eggs suggests increased protection against arteriosclerosis. So just going to cap off this video with a little conclusion. The current evidence presented in this paper suggested that dietary cholesterol does not increase the risk of heart disease in healthy individuals overall. In the studies, 2/3 or more of the population do not have considerable increase in plasma cholesterol after a dietary cholesterol intervention for extended periods of time. And also, if there was a response on increasing it, the LDL cholesterol and the HDL cholesterol ratio is not upset. Thank you very much for listening.